Hi there folks, Steve Turgoose here. I was thinking about altruism. Altruism. What is altruism? Look it up in the dictionary. Like most words, it's worth looking up in dictionaries. Altruism is basically like the idea of the greater good. That everybody should be good and help each other, and we live together in harmony on earth in paradise. And I mean, it seems like a good idea, and I've always seen myself as an altruist before I even knew what the word meant. But then I realised that I'm not an altruist because I don't believe in a greater good. I believe that a greater good comes out of things, you know. If two people do something, then a good comes out of it, you know. Two people can lift something that one person can't. So obviously there's a greater good in team effort. There's a cause and effect. But what I'm noticing is that it gets me. I still keep getting this thing, and it's from the heart. It's like I've got so much empathy, or such a bigger heart for other people, that I tend to let them off the hook all the time. You know, I try to understand them and understand what they're saying, without regards to the fact that they don't understand what they're saying. That could be anybody. That could be anybody. You know, generally I'll try and give people the benefit of the doubt and all of these types of things. Now, there's a massive danger in having such a big heart or trying to be loving. In essence, it's just another form of altruism, if you're not careful. The opposite of altruism, I would say, would be selfishness. And most people misunderstand the word selfishness. But if you look at it truly, if you're totally selfish, then you don't just want everything for yourself. You want everybody around you to be happy. And that's because you want it yourself. You know, if you wasn't here, you wouldn't care about the people you didn't know were happy or not. You know, there's a lot of unhappy things in the world, but because you're not there, it doesn't affect you. So, you know, what is the danger of altruism, and what is the danger of selfishness? Well, with altruism, it leads to subservience. It means that if we're doing things for a greater good or a greater cause, it's like who is administering that greater cause, who is controlling or organising or making that greater good, that common ground, that common cause, that common purpose. You know, and really I was looking at three different groups really: guardians or parents, governments, and gods. You know, parents, because when we get born when we get born, mother is God, really. You know, everything that mother does and father is really religion, you know, or the guardian, whoever's guarding the child. You know, generally the what do you call it? Not education, but yeah, you know, the nurturing of a child forms the way the child is. It formed who I am. It formed who you are. And so automatically parents are like the overlord, authority figure. And as you know yourself, you know, when you grow up, you realise that there's a lot of things that you know that your parents didn't know, and that you're actually a lot cleverer in a lot of ways, and they made a lot of mistakes. They taught you things that they still believe in that are no longer true, you know, because they work for an old generation. Like, for example, you know, work hard and get your money. It doesn't work like that these days. You know, the best way to make money these days is to climb up the pyramid over other people's shoulders and heads to get higher status within the system. And so this starts with parenting, this loyalty to parents, which is a blind loyalty, a subservience to the parents, based on the fact that they gave you life, and then you feel that you have to owe them everything else back. You know, the way you dress, the way you cut your hair, you know, that you change your underwear as often as, you know, before you go out, and all of these different things, which might make sense, but shouldn't be taken as read. You know, we should think about what we was taught. The second thing is then when we go to school and get involved in government, you know, get involved in anything in society. You know, it introduces government, and there's a kind of a loyalty there, a loyalty to government, when government should be, and all civil servants should be working for the people. Somehow we've begun to feel that they're authority and we're just the little people. You know, the police come not to assist often, but they come acting like nannies. And there's reasons for this. You know, probably, you know, we've turned into a nation, you know, a world of dimwits to certain degrees, because because of the media and the television and everything else has warped our view of the world. You know, but this subservience or blind loyalty to government, not any particular government, just government in general, really. You know, we've become blindly loyal to the fact that people think we need a government. Well, we don't need a government. We don't need governing. You know, nature governs itself, and the nature within us will govern how things work. You know, when I say, oh, we don't need government, that doesn't mean we don't need legal systems and roads and other things and services, but they can be provided by firms, by companies that operate transparently in trust with the people, who basically, you know, the customers are almost shareholders. You know, you're voting with money. You know, but government's got its fingers in money, in health, in everything, education. So the people who have the power in government, it's a perfect gangster's paradise. It's a perfect corrupt scheme, you know, for the government scheming schemes. You know, the third and most dangerous force, you know, when someone loses every other possibility of hope in this system, or with their parents, or with their friends, or anything, people turn to God, or Buddha, or Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, Allah, Satan, you know. I mean, Satan's just a part of the Christian religion as I see it, because, you know, it follows the Satan within the Bible. But the point of it being is, like, religion, all religious teachings are placebos, yeah? What do I mean by that? Well, like, if I tell you something, then it's just words, it's vibrations, it's like, it's up to you to see it and how it means, not for me to explain you out of the way you see it. You've got to understand the way you see those teachings, and then it starts to activate, just like a placebo. You know, if I give you a placebo, then I trick you into thinking that you're going to be well again, and then it's yourself that heals you. It isn't God, it isn't, it's just purely physics, it's nature. You know, it is amazing, it is a great mystery, but it happens. Now, there's, you know, there are mysteries in life, but we don't really need to go mad trying to find out what they are or defining them, because we know them inside. Everybody knows how a lemon, or most people know how a lemon tastes, or a banana, but you couldn't explain the flavour to anybody else. You know, so this religion thing leaves us, or leaves you, or an individual, in a state of feeling like lower. You know, feeling like kind of in servitude, you know, in this blind loyalty. And I can tell you, with religion, the most dangerous thing about religion is it's all about enlightenment and finding and being who you are. And religion actually takes that away from you until you get it. You know, spiritual teachers are often like, find something, you know, find some kind of good feeling, and then go on about how to get there. And so much is lost in that description. You know, it's the biggest danger for a spiritual person to try and describe the spiritual experience. It's deadly. It's deadly. You can only explain it with, like, fiction, like Mickey Mouse. You know, you can only explain God as being in a heaven. There is no heaven. There is no God. You know, it's all. You know, and as soon as you externalize any of that God power, any of that kind of like spiritual power, you just losing your power. You're just giving it to others, and you might think, well, that's okay, you know, grace for God or whatever. But the problem is that kind of attitude rubs off into the way you act with your government and with your peers and stuff, and then you become blindly loyal to everything around you in a way. You know, there's such a danger within religion for people to think that the world can be saved just by people meditating or praying and stuff. It's not going to happen. You know, have you ever managed to fix a car, or wash clothes, or anything, do anything with the help of God? You know, okay, you know, if you've got an understanding for it, you might be able to refuse me, but it's an incredibly dangerous thing telling other people to believe in God when you know damn well that that's going to just give them the false impression. You know, it's like saying, like, Father Christmas exists. On the microphone. You know, and altruism, back to altruism, it's a bit like Christmas. I mean, I've got nothing against Christmas, really. But look at how it happens. You know, everybody expects everybody else to be a certain way, to be happy, merry, to give presents. So you give presents to somebody. It's usually a gift that they don't want, and they give you something you don't want. So if you was to give the money, it's too impersonal. So, you know, it's gone far away from the Christmas spirit that it should have. I think a lot of you know what I'm saying, you know. But the fact is like, you know, if we see some information, hear some information, somebody tells something to us, we should think about it hard and long before deciding whether it's true or false. Now, I've only got a short time left on this camera, but I'll be back to talk about this issue in great deal of depth, because it's all about your personal power, and that's why I made this channel, really, is to empower you. And then we can make a better world just simply based on you know, reason. So have a good time. Thanks for watching and listening, and see you later.